Hey guys, it's Will here. Thought I'd pump out another quick video seeing we had the budget last night. I know it's really enthralling news for you guys, so I won't keep it too heavy for you. Again, the rundown is home loan property and some news about the broader economy. Uh, Home loan news, budget announcements. So a couple of big announcements for uh, single parents and first homeowners. So um, you might have heard the single parent one, which has been announced a little bit over the past couple of days, which is the big 2% you can get in the property market with basically no deposit. 2% is what they're doing, and the scheme there is for single parents to get in off the market that may know that couldn't have done so before. Um, so this is something new that they've thought up, a new little scheme to add to all the other current schemes. So on top of that, what they've done is they've extended a couple of the other schemes. So they announced under the first home loan deposit scheme an additional 10,000 spots for new and established homes. So that's pretty big news in terms of the budget because it's going to push the housing market quite a fair way. The second bit of news is long delays in home loan applications. So this is probably pretty important to you if you're looking to purchase, say, in the next 3 or 6 months, because some of the larger banks, by some I mean all of the larger banks, are actually taking up to months. I've had applications that's taken 3 months to approve. So you need to get in early. You need to make a plan. Fortunately for most people, they don't need to go to a big four bank. There's other options out there that are just as good, and you're not paying over the moon for them. Property market news, record home loan commitments, which shouldn't come as a shock to anyone based on kind of the rhetoric in the news the last few months. But what I thought I'd do is show you this pretty little graph here, which kind of tells you a lot about the situation. So obviously, this big spike here is coming out of the pandemic, and people are borrowing, which is telling you the housing market is already going up. First homeowner benefits to push the market. We don't really need to go any more into that. I did want to push something though, and this is what I always say, is that when an economy looks weak or the property market looks weak, you could say that as well. Governments don't just let these things fall over. They always think of things to put in place to push the market, especially in Australia, the property market, because a lot of politicians think the property market is all of the markets, which is the economy. So this is why I was saying all through the pandemic, the property market's not going to drop. They're gonna backstop this, and they're gonna throw everything at it. And this is just a part of that. So expect property prices to continue to go up in the future. The one caveat to that I would say is to expect volatility in the economy in general. So we might have 6 months where things don't look too good, but then they'll bring out some new whiz bang scheme, and all of a sudden the economy will be off to the races, and we'll all be rich again. That leads us into the broader economic news. I've got here, leaders still think Aussies will spend big. So if we look at that, that's an article from ABC, basically saying they think they're going to turbocharge the economy and get a lot of spending going, which is fine. The problem there is that if they just get spending going from the handouts they've given, then the spending's going to stop unless they keep on handing out money. The only way they'll get continued spending is if the money that is that if the stimulus creates wages growth. So the problem with that is they've been trying to create wages growth for the last 10 years. And that's why they won't get inflation. So if you actually look back at the Reserve Bank's target inflation for the next financial year, for the last 8 or 9 years, they've been out by 1 or 2%. And it's because they cannot get these wages to rise. So they're still doing the same thing. So the economy might look good, but I think if you look at it in a 3-year patch, I think what will happen is that it will look good, and then the honeymoon will be over, and the government will be forced to keep on creating money and providing stimulus to the system, which ultimately doesn't actually recover the system. Unless they're boosting wages, which is why they've been harping on for 10 years that they want to boost wages. Unfortunately, they haven't hit that target. And what's actually happened is that all of this money creation, all of this stimulus, all of this, money printing, basically, it's just made asset prices increase. So so this article here from the AFR is actually about the super style scheme for home buyers. So I actually just wanted to touch on that as well, and just to give people a bit of an understanding of how these guys use the budget to kind of push things to make themselves look good. This super scheme's actually been around for about 4 years. Unfortunately, no one's used it, and I've honestly had 2 people ask me about this in 4 years, and the reason I think that it doesn't work is because people don't trust super, especially people under 40. They don't think government's helping them very much at all. But yeah, it's just interesting how they use these things to make themselves look good and to blow their trumpet when it hasn't been working for the last 4 years, and we'll just throw more money at it. We'll just we'll just make it look better, but have it not work. And speaking of things not working, I just want to finish off with this one, which is financial planning isn't working for poor people. I would say the base level of planning you need is for most people, to have things in place like income protection and life insurance and stuff like that. I would say 90% of people don't take it up. Unfortunately, the odds of you having an event, by event I mean, some sort of medical thing where you can't work for at least a couple of months between now and when you retire, unfortunately, those odds are quite high. So this is a big problem that Australia are going to have in the future, because if people don't have adequate insurances now, they actually end up on the taxpayers' payroll, because we've got to pay all their disability pensions and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that as well, because government's put their paws on the financial planning industry in recent years, which was fair enough, actually. It was a dodgy industry. People were dodging everything. Unfortunately, they've changed it, and there's just going to be, I think, there's definitely not going to be any better outcome, but there's probably going to be a worse outcome coming down the line. That's it for me today, guys. Cheers.